Hey Tekken players, I hope you're all doing well. So I'm going to make a really quick video about how to do Armor King's blue spark throws. Now the reason why I'm doing this, I have done multiple videos in the past of how to do them for King and how to do instant while running, but I appreciate a lot of new players may have picked up Armor King for the first time and they've not played regular King before, so they might not be familiar with the blue sparks, or they might not have played a character that has instant while running attacks, so you wouldn't know that either. So this is specifically just for people who have picked up Armor King who want to know how to do these blue spark throws and mechanics behind them. Now just to make it clear, you don't actually have to be able to do these to play Armor King. They're not as important to Armor King as they are to regular King, because regular King, basically all of his combos finish with this ender, whereas Armor Kings don't. So there's not as much value in it. However, they're still worth trying because number one, they do slightly more damage than the regular throws, and also the break window is reduced on them. So they have their own benefits, but just to make it clear, you can play Armor King without having to learn these, so don't worry about it too much. Okay, so to go over the two blue sparks, he has the Giant Swing blue spark and he has the ISW one. Now the ISW one is much harder, which is why you'll see me like fail it a few times, especially if you haven't warmed up. But you know, I'm doing it live so you can kind of, there you go, just so you can see, you know, I'm not capping or whatever. So let's start with the Giant Swing one because, as I say, that is easier. So the rules are pretty simple. You have to do the entire Giant Swing input. So that's forward, then half circle, forward, and then one. You see, that's the input there, as slow as possible. Okay, doesn't matter, you can do it very, very slowly and it'll work. Like that. So you can't skip over anything. So that's rule number one. Now the second and more important rule is, in order to be blue sparks, to basically make it very clear, the final part, which is basically the final down, forward, one, that has to be done as quickly as possible, basically. To kind of get really nerdy about it, the first bit has to be done, this bit, down and down forward has to be done within 4 frames, and then the forward and one has to be done ideally in 1 frame, but you can do up to 2. So what I'm trying to say is, it's the final bit, it's the final kind of quarter circle forward that has to be quick. This first bit can be done slowly, so that's important to know, because what you don't want to do is if you try rushing it, you'll get something like that. Now you see, because basically if you try to rush the first bit, you often will get something like you'll go down and then you'll miss the back or something, or you'll do this and then you're not getting the full half circle. So it's important to like not rush the first bit. You can take your time, relatively speaking. The bit where you have to be quick is the final, that bit, the final quarter circle forward into 1. So that's very, very important. Now a way to practice this is very, very simply, just get the dummy to duck like this, and then we can just practice. Get him to duck, thank you, there we go, and just keep practicing. Keep your command history open because you want to see why, if something failed, you want to know why. Okay, so you can see that worked. Okay, why did that not work? Because I pressed the 1 button too early. You see, I pressed it when I was still on down forward, so that's why I didn't get it. So it's important to, like, when you do fail, again, like I failed there, check your inputs, see what went wrong. Again, on there, I'm pressing the 1 too early. There we go. Now I've got the timing back. As you can kind of see, this is more about, it's more about timing rather than trying to do anything too fast. But I would always argue it's better to, like I say, it's better to get a normal Giant Swing than it is to get a bodged blue spark, which ends up just doing something like a down forward 1 or a down jab. They're the classics. So that's how you do the Giant Swing. So let's move on to the Shining Wizards. Okay, so having covered Giant Swing, let's now talk about the instant Shining Wizard blue sparks. Now I'm not going to lie, this is much harder to learn, so you're probably going to see a lot of errors. And if you're wondering why I switched to P2, it's because this is my Armor King side. I just prefer playing on this side with this pad. So how do we do that blue spark? Good question. So again, there's a few fundamental rules that you have to learn, and then that will help you with the timing. So number one, with any of these while running attacks, you have to do at least basically 1, 2, 3 forward inputs, then the actual forward 2+4, you know, together. So that's why you can do it quite slow. You can go 1, 2, 3, this, and it'll work. You see, so that's super slow. 1, 2, 3. You couldn't do that in Tekken 7, not at point blank range. So that's rule number one. Now, again, a bit like the giant swing, there's some nuance to this in that I mentioned you had to do 3 forward inputs and then the final one. So the gap between the first input and then the next 1, 2, 3 with the you know, 2+4, the gap in between the first and the second can be quite lenient. There's not like a time limit, so you can go 1 and like leave quite a big gap. That reason why that's important is because that's quite useful for knowing when you're buffering. So for example, if I buffer off this, it's like I can leave quite a big gap. Like I can press forward like quite early. Now I can't do it. Let me just say what I'm trying to say, but I concentrate on it. Basically, I can do the down forward 1, do the first forward, like buffer that quite early on into the animation. Wait for the down forward 1 to finish, and then really fast input the final input. So again, now I'm not chatting. Let's see if I can just do it again. There you go. You see what I mean? So, and again, this is why it's a bit hard for me to talk while doing it. It does take concentration. So that's to kind of get my point over how really the first gap in the first couple of inputs, you can be lenient. In terms of what we're looking for, the final 1, 2, and then the 4, 2+4, that has to be completed within and including 6 frames. So yeah, that is fast. Is basically what I'm trying to say. It's one of those things where I need to kind of complete a proper successful animation of it, and then I can show you the frame data. So bear with me, this may take an edit or two. There we go. So that's a successful one. So let's have a look at the command input. You see, I've got the first forward. Then I've got a 5 frame gap between the next one. That's fine. That gap can be as long as possible. And then you'll see for the next one, I've got 4, 1, 2. So that's 6 frames, and then it's come out. So I've just got in there in terms of the timing. Again, ignore the final 8 because that's just basically how long I held 2+4 for. And that doesn't matter. It's how quick we get to that input that matters. So you see that was successful. Now again, the way that we want to practice this is just like before. We want to get the dummy to crouch. We have him crouching block as well. So this way, if we inevitably get a wrong throw like this, we don't have to keep resetting it. And then it's just practice. All I can say is, like I said, it's hard to describe. It's one of those things where once it clicks, it becomes easier. For full transparency, I'm doing this on pad. It is easier to do on keyboard or Mixbox because it's just pressing the buttons quicker just becomes easier. But it's still a rhythm thing. It's about getting the final sort of bit to come out. So remember, it's a bit like you can do quite slow and then 1, 2, 3. So kind of think of it like that. That's the way I sort of think. I think of it as 1, 2, 3. Like, so, you know. So important to note, let's have a look. If I fail it, let's have a look at what I was going wrong. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So I've got 1, 2, 3, except I've literally pressed 2+4 on the same frame. So you see, so I've not got enough forward inputs, and that's why I got that regular throw. So even when you're learning this, it's important to have your command history open and then track your progress so you can see what went wrong. So let's try a few more times and see what different input errors you might get. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. So that again, if we count up the frames, I got the first input and a 6 frame gap. Again, it doesn't matter, but unfortunately after that I've got, you know, I've got 4, 4, 1, so that's 9 frames. Not fast enough. It's got to be within 6. So that's where it went wrong. Just wasn't fast enough. Again, let's look at that. Miss input. I pressed the 2+4 button too early. Similar thing. You see, this is what happens if you try to go too fast. You see, I'm not allowing enough forward inputs, and this is what I mean when I say it comes to rhythm. You see how I'm pressing forward 2+4 on the same frame and haven't got enough forward inputs. Okay, so we got a successful one there, and lucky enough I did an unsuccessful one beforehand. So you can see the one beforehand wasn't working because not enough forward inputs. There's 3 forward inputs. So look at the next one, you count them there, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got enough forward inputs, that's good. And if we look at the final, two, again, we've got a 5-frame gap between the first ones, that's fine. After that, 1, 4, another 1, that's 6. So again, that's the 6-frame marker, so we made it. So I'm just going to leave that up just so you can get an idea of the timing. So like I said, after this, it just comes down to practice. Now, the weird thing is, like I said, a lot of this is muscle memory. And for me, I find somehow, if I have to buffer throws, I find them more successful, as I demonstrated at the start. Not I can do it now because I'm talking. There we go. So yeah, so for me, because I'm used to doing them out of, I rarely just do Shining Wizard just sort of, you know, point blank or no, it's usually following some other moves. So I find if I sort of do, you know, I do it after jabs or whatever, I have more success. But you need to do what works for you. Another good one to practice is maybe a hop kick, like this. Got there in the end. Again, the reason why I say hop kick's quite good is because it's a good way of, you can sort of, you do the first one, you do the first input, and you can really delay up until the following final ones, like that. So again, it's just a way of getting that rhythm into your head, but you got to do what works for you. But basically, I've shared the fundamental rules, which is, as I said, first forward, no problem at all, have a nice leniency, but then it's the final inputs, you've got to be done within 6 frames. So hope that's helpful for you, and I'll look forward to seeing the next one.